I'm a fun guy. Obviously, I love the game of basketball. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
Good afternoon. You are listening to WQKLP 93.9 FM out of Plattsburgh, New York. It is currently 3:06 here in Plattsburgh. Today, this is your 3 o'clock sports report with Desmond and Liam. So we're running a bit behind today. Just had some small technical errors, but we got those situated, so we are good to go. It was an interesting couple days in sports. We've had a lot of very I would say mundane is a good way to put it, weeks when it came to sports. We finally had a weekend where I was like, all right, Monday, I am ready to go. I'm ready to talk about sports. It was a crazy weekend in basketball-wise, something Desmond and I will get into later in the show. And then obviously, of course, the Combine, which took place this weekend. So Desmond, we'll start as we usually do. Matching attire. Today is like sweatpants, pajama pants day.
Pants.
Yeah, pretty much lazy pants. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, I mean, I woke up today, and I was like, you know what? It's pretty nice out. It's early in the morning. I don't want to wear clothes that I care about. Pajamas.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Yeah, it's been very warm here in Plattsburgh. As somebody walks by the studio in shorts.
You'll see that no matter what the weather is.
Yeah, that's true. People in Plattsburgh are absolutely fearless.
Yeah, I'd say.
So we're let's start with this. Let's go right into the sports happened this week. I think the first story of the weekend was the Combine.
Actually, I have a news story, one that just broke. Colts tight end Jack Doyle just announced his retirement. I don't believe he's very old. Oh, wow, he's actually 31.
I was about to say, I think he's been up there.
Wow.
And then all the franchise tag stuff we can hit, too. I believe there's 2 franchise tags today, correct?
What was the other one? I know about the one we're going to talk about, the Joku. What about the other one?
It's like I'm going to find it quickly. I just got to make sure that I am correct. Mm-hmm. Talk about that one first.
Yeah, so we're going to get into the Combine really quick. It was a very, very interesting Combine, to say the least. A lot of surprises, a lot of players definitely bringing their stock up a ton. One we're going to get into, Jordan Davis, who I'm sure everyone who's into football has heard about.
Yeah, if you watched the Michigan, Georgia, or the national championship, you saw Jordan Davis destroying quarterbacks.
No, he's a prospect I'm very high on. But, I mean, that's actually my first part I was going to talk to. Jordan Davis. He broke the record for the fastest 40-yard dash time ever for a player who's 320 pounds or higher with a 4.78.
He was moving.
That's faster, and that's over 320. When in reality he's 300, and he's like 6'4", 340 pounds, if not taller. So the fastest 40 time for a player that ran faster than some of the tight ends. He set the broad jump record for defensive linemen with 10'3". So not only was his a 10'3", the next highest wasn't even 10 feet.
Didn't someone else break the broad jump record or something like that this weekend?
I'm not entirely sure on that because I was not able to watch the corners, so maybe one of them broke it. But yeah, so his broad jump was, it was whenever it loads, 10'3". The next highest is 9'4".
For what, defensive?
Broad jump. Among defensive linemen. So he did all that. He had the second highest vertical among defensive tackles with a 32 inch.
This is a 300-pound man.
340-pound man. That's just unfathomable. I was watching. I wasn't able to watch him run his 40 time because I was a little busy that day. But I picked it up when they started covering all the defensive tackles, and I saw on Twitter originally his 40 time, and then they started talking about it on the air, and then they announced because they weren't showing his group do the broad jump. They announced it on air that he just had broken the record.
Yeah,
very ridiculous.
Not to interrupt you, but this is what I was talking about. Trayvon Walker had a 10'3", so he tied Jordan Davis. So everyone was like, "Oh, the Georgia boys are taking over." Look at that squirrel! Are taking over the combine. There's a big squirrel rocking by the studio. We got a lot of special guests today.
But he was Jordan Davis was like a. If I'm trying to remember correctly, because I've been doing so much draft stuff the last month. If I'm remembering correctly, he was like a 20, he could go in the 20s, he could go early second round player. Now I'm seeing people say he could go top 15, which is not surprising.
No, not at all.
Not only was he an insanely talented player before, but now you add in the way he showed up at the combine. It only brings his stock higher, which I'm going to get into players whose stock skyrocketed.
And that's what's so great about the combine and so unique about football too, I would say, is that you can show up to the combine and just jump your draft. Like a lot of players don't go. And like I know last year it was really weird because there wasn't an official combine, correct?
Yeah.
And so like I remember like it made it a lot harder for teams to make picks. Like I remember like Micah Parsons, like he ran a crazy 4-time, but it wasn't, or a 40-yard time. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't at the combine. It was at Penn State.
Yeah.
So like those kind of stuff made it hard to draft. This year, bringing it back goes show how influential it is.
Yeah, there was a lot of surprising ones. Like I was watching when the the edge rushers were going because I was looking for Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau. This guy here, Amare Barno, broke the record for the fastest 40 time for a defensive end. It was originally Montez Sweat who had like a 4.42, and like it happened because he was the first one to go and he broke the record, and like the announcers like didn't even notice it. Mm-hmm. They like kept going on about how Montez Sweat still had the record. I'm sitting there, I'm like, do they not notice that he just ran a 4.36?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about him because I haven't done much on edge rushers outside of like a couple second round guys like I'm going to get into. And, obviously the top guys, Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, George Karlaftis. But I see that he had not only the record for the 40 time, but he also had the highest broad jump out of edge rushers with a 10'11".
Record or had the high?
He had the highest. I don't know if it's a record or not.
And then quickest 40 for...
And then the quickest 40, yeah.
Out of everybody or out of just the corners?
Out of edge rushers.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know where he was projected to go, but that definitely helped his stock out a ton. But in other news, speaking of how we're talking about the 40-yard dash, it was almost broken twice.
Yes.
With both players going to Baylor, funny enough. With Tyquan Thornton, who originally, unofficially is how I'll put it, ran a 4.21, but after they looked over it, it was ruled as a 4.28, which a lot of people were not happy about. But then this one was official. Kaelin Barnes, a corner out of Baylor, ran a 4.23, and I believe the record was set by John Ross with a 4.22. Mm-hmm. Tyquan Thornton, I know, is like a late 5 through 7 type receiver who probably is going to go a little higher now because of the 40 time. And Kaelin Barnes, I don't know much about because I haven't done much on secondary because I've been focusing on stuff the Giants need, and secondary is not a position I'm entirely worried about right now. But again, as I've been saying, these are definitely guys who are bringing their draft stock up a ton. But speaking of which, I have 4 players here who I believe stock rose a ton. Start with Zion Johnson out of Boston College, offensive guard. He's a player I've been so high on. I'm praying he falls this second round for the Giants, but after the combine and after the way he played this season, I don't know if he's going to fall out of the first. I'll actually have my book here where I've been doing all the my notes. He had the most bench press reps out of all the offensive linemen with 32. Ran a 5.18 40 time, not bad. He had a 32-inch vertical, which was the 4th highest among offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. Had a 9'4" broad jump, 3-cone drill of 7.38, and a 4.46 20-yard shuttle. He is a very good two-way prospect at the offensive guard spot. Both a good pass blocker and run blocker. I'm very, very exceptionally high on him, and to see him perform makes me obviously happy for him, but makes me worry because now I feel like he's definitely going to go in the first round compared to where I really wanted him to go. But and then the next we have Jordan Davis, obviously.
We already talked about him.
Yeah, he'll probably go in the top 15 now, if not without a doubt, first-round pick. Obviously stuff like this is the most important for quarterbacks, but Desmond Ridder was literally on top of every single category in the combine for quarterbacks. I think he had the fastest 40-yard dash, the highest vertical, the highest broad jump. He had
have a weekend.
He did not run the 3-cone drill, and he had the 3rd fastest 20-yard shuttle. Obviously, that's not the most important with the quarterback, but to see that he has a physical attribute.
Vertical is not the biggest.
Not to mention, he did look very good in the throwing drills during the combine. I did pay more attention to the quarterback during the combine than
Who
I
else?
thought I would.
Who else of the other quarterbacks look good?
EJ Perry out of Brown did a lot better than I thought he would. He ran a 4.18.
How'd Pickett look?
Pickett, I don't know. He didn't really. He ran the third fastest 40-yard dash with a 4.73. Third highest vertical with a 33.5. Third highest broad jump with a 10'1". I'm not sure if he did a 3-cone.
And he has small hands. But
yes,
we're not going to
address that because I'll actually get into that quick because I have it written down. If he were to get drafted, well, he's going to get drafted, obviously.
Yeah.
But if he were to start, I think, yes, he's 8.5 inch hands. That would be the smallest among every starting quarterback in the NFL right now. And he has fumble issues. I think he fumbled like 20 times. I don't know if I can't remember if it's a season or his career. Obviously, that's a big difference between the two, but it's definitely...
It'll be interesting. And I don't know how much... Personally, I don't know how much hand size determines a quarterback. I know it helps to have big hands, of course.
It's just pretty funny how he's 6'3" and would have the smallest hands, but then there's like Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's
like
bigger.
5'9".
Yeah, exactly. It's bigger hands than him. Joe Burrow had big small hands coming out of the combine.
But at like a 20.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm considering retirement after finding out that I had small hands. Please pray for me. I remember that after the combine.
So, like, I guess what we're trying to get at here is that I think in the past, small hands has not been like the hugest deal, unless it's a direct correlation with fumble issues. But Joe Burrow didn't really have fumble issues this year.
No.
If anything, he had more interception issues, but that's a story of another time.
But and then my last guy who stock I believe rose is Breece Hall out of Iowa State, a running back. I kind of want the Giants to be interested in if they decide to move on from Saquon, which is a whole new thing now.
I don't like it.
No, I don't either. Ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. He had a 40-inch vertical, which is ridiculous, highest among running backs, obviously. He had a 10'6" broad jump, which was fourth highest among running backs. Running backs don't run the 3-cone drill, I guess, or the 20-yard shuttle. He definitely brought his stock up a ton. I didn't know much about him, but he was kind of brought to my attention on Twitter the other day, so I've been looking more and more into him. And with that, to close out the kind of draft segment of the day, I have some guys that I want the Giants to target in the later rounds. Guys, for those of you who know, I write articles for Fansided. If you've read my draft articles, I've mentioned these players so many times because I believe that these guys have superstar potential. Zion Johnson, who we talked about before, very high on him. Chad Muma has a very Sean Lee, Dante Hightower-esque build. As a very good linebacker, both tackling and coverage. He's a very do-it-all thing. The only thing that's kind of bringing his stock down a bit is the lack of competition played against, but I'm not worried about that because if you watch him play, you can see how good he really is. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Likely, a tight end out of Coastal Carolina. Obviously, the Giants cut Kyle Rudolph. We're probably not bringing Evan Ingram back. We're going to need a tight end. Very good receiving threat. He's shown he needs to work on his hand technique a little bit, but he's shown capabilities of blocking, which is something we need at a tight end. But even then, I'll take the receiving threat that he is. Khalil Shakir, who is a short receiver out of Boise State, where I believe ran a... Let me turn to my page here, but I see a lot of... the one really good year out of Taylor Gabriel that got him like a big contract with the Bears, I think. I see a lot of that out of him. He's a very... very good dynamic short receiver in the slot that could be useful. He ran a 4.35 40-yard dash, so he has the speed. The only issue with him is his hands. He had 10 drops. And then the last one I have is Sam Williams, who is an edge rusher out of Ole Miss. He put up some pretty insane stats, but if you watch him play, he has a lot of issues that need to be fixed. But if they are fixed, I believe he can be a star. He tries to rely on his strength too much. He doesn't have many pass rushing moves, but if he can start off as a non-3 down edge rusher and then evolve his game, he could eventually become a star. It's just a matter of if these tools that he has and the potential that he has, if he can reach this potential, which I don't know if he will, which is why he'll probably fall to the 4th or 5th round. But with that, that's all I have on the draft, and I think we only really have one more.
What's the date of the draft?
Oh, I am actually not entirely sure. I've done everything on the draft except I don't even know what it is. Draft.
I know it's very soon.
It's in April. I know that.
Yeah.
April 28th to April 30th, which, yeah, that's pretty soon.
April 30th, my birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
So I got a good birthday.
Exactly.
The later rounds of the draft are not nearly as
It
interesting.
could be.
All right, we have the franchise tag thing. Orlando Brown Jr. got tagged.
Got tagged.
Yes.
Okay, that's
just
huge.
wanted to
All
throw that in there.
And then the other one is David Njoku for the Browns, which I'm kind of surprised with and not really because they should franchise tag him, but they don't really use him because they brought in Austin Hooper, who's kind of been disappointing, but I've been a fan of David Njoku for a long time. I've wanted the Giants to make moves for him because I don't like Evan Ingram very much. But with that, that's all we have on the draft.
Yeah,
and NFL.
NFL for the day.
So do you want to take a break? Or you want to get right into NBA?
Let's talk about collegiate sports for Plattsburgh. So the men's hockey got eliminated from contention. I believe Geneseo went on to win the division, which I don't know if you were at the Geneseo game, but we were tied 3-3 with Geneseo back in January, and then we blew it. Do you remember this? We blew it 6-3.
Yes, I do remember that.
So, I mean, I guess good for us for hanging in there with an absolute powerhouse. I know they just released the brackets. So how it works is, like, you win your conference, and then some conference have, like, an automatic entry into the NCAA tournament, and then all the teams play in the NCAA tournament, and that's how you get crowned national champions. So since Geneseo won the division, they have an automatic spot. Then there's, like, at-large spots, and they pick teams. Like, the NCAA picks teams who they think are there. I know that Oswego was good, probably could have been good enough to make the tournament for men's, but I don't think they did. But, like, there's so many schools for Division III men's hockey. But the women did something really cool this weekend. They're still technically reigning national championship because they won in 2019. 2020, tournament got canceled. 2021, season got canceled. So they were playing to win their basically the same thing. They had to win their conference to qualify. There is at-large spots for the NCAA pick. So if they would have lost their conference, they would have made an at-large spot because they're like the number 3 team in the country right now. They're so good. Yeah. So they play Cortland, and Cortland essentially needs to win this game to have any chance of making the NCAA tournament. Cortland's probably good enough to make it, and if you watch the game, they're definitely good enough to make it. So it was like a really back-and-forth game. Cortland scores 1, Plattsburgh scores 2, or Plattsburgh scored like 3. Cortland's tied right at the end, 3-3 tie. I'm getting flashbacks to the men's game where they blew that lead. Yeah. Whatever. So they blew a 1-goal lead, which isn't even blowing a lead at that point. They just didn't score enough. And over 59 seconds into overtime, there's a sophomore named May Olshansky, made a really nice touch pass off the boards and left it for Nicole Unsworth. And she made one of the nicest, like a really nice breakaway move. Scored them. They're going to the national tournament. So we host on Saturday Colby University. They're in Maine, private. We host them on Saturday. Desmond, you should go. You should have went the other day. I'm still a little mad you didn't.
Well, I was sick that day.
Don't care. Should have went. No, but they'll be the women are really good, really well coached, and like the women's hockey is getting a lot more competitive. Like for years, Plattsburgh just dominated everywhere, and they had I think they've won 5 national championships in the last 6 years, which is insane.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. So, but now it's getting a lot more competitive. So I assume they'll be good for the rest of our career. But like their best player is graduating, so I don't know. I fear what happens after this season. They're going to need a good recruiting year. Yeah. So there's your college update. Also in baseball, we got our first 2 wins. Random fact.
Oh, baseball started already?
Baseball started, yep. And I think most of our games are on the road for the first.
I did see that. I did see a lot of our games on the road.
I think for the first.
I was looking it up the other day.
Because if you look at Chip Cunningham's field, which is like if you're facing the field house in the front, it's like to the right. It's still covered in snow.
Yeah,
they're practicing on the soccer, like the turf, like the soccer turf.
No, I want to go to their games.
Same.
I don't know when they are.
I don't think they're going to play for a while.
Yeah, not home at least.
The field is literally covered in snow. Yeah, they have a new coach, and they had a doubleheader, and they swept. So I think they're 2-2 now.
Nice.
So yeah, go to the women's hockey game if you're in Plattsburgh. It's Saturday night. It'll be most likely our last game at home this season, but if something weird happens, we could have the Final Four in Plattsburgh.
That would be insane.
So how it goes is the number 1 team left that makes the Final Four, like the team that's ranked number 1 by, I think it's pairwise, I don't know if you know who they are, who ranks them, they get to host the Final Four. So I think there's only 2 teams ahead of us. There's a team out west and then Middlebury. So if Middlebury were to get upset, which I don't think they will, but if they were to get upset, I think we would host. Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yeah, that would be.
And we're also hosting the men's tournament.
Really?
Even though we're not playing, we we host we host. It's really weird. We don't host at the field house. We host in Lake Placid at Herb Brooks Arena. Which I think they just, because it's just too small, the field house. Yeah. I think a lot of people go to that's I don't know if you've ever been to Lake Placid, but that's a huge rink. It's really, really nice.
I think I've driven by it.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's huge. So we host there even though we're not even in the tournament. Ouch. But it's awesome though. That's so cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I wonder if they're going to do random, this is not even related to sports, but I wonder if they're going to do a bus.
That would be nice.
Just so you can go. If you want to go that bad, you can ride with me because I'm going. But we can talk. We'll talk about that different.
But before we get into NBA, I just want to say that I apologize for the last couple of weeks of our shows being spotty.
Yeah,
I've been sick. I don't know what it is. It's not COVID. I got tested twice. It's not COVID. I started off with a sore throat last Tuesday. That went on until the end of the week. That's why I missed the first Wednesday, and then it turned into a cold that lasted that whole week. I was able to do the show on Monday, but it kind of got worse around Wednesday, so I just decided to cancel it. Still kind of dealing with it now, but it's not nearly as bad. Hopefully, we won't have to deal with canceling any more shows. But here we are. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
And with that, NBA talk?
Yeah. Sorry, random collegiate talk.
Yeah, no, you're good, but
keep us updated.
I guess the first thing I have written down. I just like how in my notes I have like all these different things for like each category. Are you eating Chipotle right now? Anyways, I have all these different.
I might.
I have all these different notes for all the different topics to talk about. But then for the Knicks, I just have Knicks talk because it's just all in my head as I just gather what I watch over the week and how.
I got to get food for this one. It was a really good weekend.
And
it's like getting popcorn.
Exactly. And just how bad the team is. Like, yeah, we won last night against the Clippers. Blew them out.
Great game.
Yeah, I did like.
Was it quickly at like 30 points or almost 30 points?
I'm not sure. I did not watch this game because I was busy.
And mad.
And
salty.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been. We play the Kings tonight. That's going to be terrible. That's a very bad two teams to be watching. But we ended up winning 116-93 quickly at 21, 10 and 6. But the last outside of that win, it's been very, very awful. Like, I mean, Randall's been terrible. Burks has been terrible. Like the Suns game, where we were up like 15, and then we blew it. And the funny part is, I didn't watch a game because I'm kind of getting sick of the Knicks. Like, obviously, I'm going to root for RJ Barrett. I'm going to root for Cam Reddish, Mitchell, Quickly, Obi, all the young guys. But I cannot watch these veterans anymore. But to watch Julius Randle, he was actually good the Suns game, but then get ejected by pushing someone when I believe, again, I'm kind of piecing together what I think happened because I did not watch a game. Because it looked like he kind of shoved into Cam Reddish, and then they got in an argument, then Julius ended up shoving, I just say Cam Reddish, Cam Johnson.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And after that, Cam Johnson, like,
went off.
Yeah, I love Cam Johnson. I've been a fan of him since UNC. And to see him go off is obviously he sucks going against my own team, but watching him go off is still very nice.
And then he had that game winner.
Yep, the game winner. I'm going to go over that because that's like the only part of the game I watched. So I turn on the game. I see we're up 2 with we're up 1 with however many seconds left. They miss a shot. Well, not missed. Mitchell Robinson blocked a campaign layup, and then they got it. Burks goes to the line. I tell myself, I'm like, he's missing one of these free throws. It can be the first. It can be the second. Alec Burks is missing one of these free throws because it's Alec Burks, and he's awful. He missed the second free throw. They run the ball down. I'm like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, it's game.
I'm like,
I'm sure Booker was on the court. Like, you're done.
No, there wasn't. Booker didn't play this game.
Oh,
he's been out. Yeah.
He's still out?
Yeah.
Was Paul on the court?
Nope.
They lost?
That's what happens when Cam Johnson drops like 30 or 40. And then I see Cam Johnson. I'm like, they're going to get it to him. I don't care what play happens. If they don't get it to him, then that's just stupid. And then I think it was Cam Payne who handed off. He literally just did a handoff play to him, and he chucked it up. And the moment it came out of his hands, I'm like, yep, and that's game.
That's going in.
And it banked in.
That's hilarious.
And I kind of just sat there for like a minute afterwards, just admiring how bad the Knicks are, and the fact that Cam Johnson was even like semi-open to take the shot. But yeah, I mean, they're terrible. I think we're like the 12 seed now. We're like 6-7 games out from even just the play-in. So at this point, the
season's over.
Season's over. But yeah, we keep prioritize. Tibbs has been better. We ran a very interesting lineup of Miles McBride, quickly, Reddish, Obi, and Jericho Sims, which I like to watch because they actually played very well together, which is what we should be doing.
RJ's still out.
No, RJ's playing. It was just he was out when that lineup was in. But it's just right now, if this team wants to even show off any competency, shut down Randall, shut down Fournier, play the young guys, and then move on from Fournier, move on from Burks, Noel. Consider keeping Julius. I personally wouldn't, but I know there are Knicks fans who would. The Knicks might do it. I don't see a way in which they decide keeping Julius is a good option because he really isn't helping anyone but himself, and even then he's not helping himself. But yeah, it's just the team is terrible. I'm kind of getting sick of it, but with that, that's all I have on the Knicks, and we'll move on to some of the games of the last couple of nights.
Great weekend.
Including last night's game between the Celtics and Nets, in which
Great weekend.
Jason Tatum dropped 54. My cousin Jameson, who I've mentioned on the show a couple times, is a Celtics fan, and we were talking about the game after. And Jason Tatum is not talked enough. Is not talked about enough in terms of being one of the best two-way players in the league. Because not only is he one of the premier offensive players in the league, he's one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA, especially on the ball. Off the ball, it can get questionable at times, but on the ball, he's such an elite defender, especially with the length and the height that he has, in instincts. Everything Tatum does, he does great, except arguably playmaking. But even then, he's gotten a lot better at that.
And he's only 19.
Yep. His birthday actually was the other day, and I think he actually turned 24.
I was going to say, how actually old is he?
I think he's actually 24, but it's been a running joke for a while now that he said he's 19. But Kevin Durant, I believe his second or third game back, ended up dropping 37. Not enough, though. I think they lost by like 4. The Nets are now below 500 at the 9 seed out east. That's pretty insane to think about, that team that was supposed to win the championship last year is supposed to be in contention this year is now the 9 seed.
When's Simmons going to start?
They said that they're in no rush with him, and he's definitely not going to be back by March 10th, and that's such a prolific day because that's when they play Philly. They're not going to put him in that situation, which is good.
He'd get bullied.
Yeah, right now, Kyrie needs to play better. I saw he shot 8-18 against the Celtics, which isn't necessarily awful, but when you're Kyrie Irving, you need to shoot better than that. But I'm not very high in the Nets. I'm not. I mean, obviously, Kevin Durant did almost push them to beat the Bucks last season in the playoffs. But with his health issues that he's had this season, alongside the fact that we don't know if and when Kyrie is going to play, we don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons, let alone if he's going to play, and then you add into how he's going to play, because we haven't seen him play since the playoffs last season.
Where he played horrible.
Yeah, he did not play well, obviously, but I truly don't know what to expect out of this team. They're one of these teams that could shock and go very far, or they could get upset in the first round, depending on who they play. It's very odd right now. I'm not, like I said, I'm not very high on them. I'm also not tremendously low on them. I really don't know what this team can or should do anymore. But with that, we have Jokic last night having a pretty ridiculous stat line.
Again.
I don't know if they'd let him win another MVP because the media, for some reason, does not like Nikola Jokic. But he should, I believe right now, in terms of just the debate of MVP, the most valuable player, that's Jokic by a good amount, because there's no Michael Porter Jr., no Jamal Murray. I almost said Michael Murray and DeJounte Murray. No Michael Porter Jr., no Jamal Murray, and they're the 6th seed out west. I'll look up his season stats really quick.
They're really, really good.
I don't even want to, but on the
It's just insane too, because if you ever watch him shoot, it's painful.
Yeah, he does not have a very clean form, and of course
it's hilarious.
Is not going to help me out here. But, I mean, last night he dropped 46 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 blocks, and 3 steals.
What a night.
It's very hard to make the case that he's not the best player on the planet. Obviously, you have guys like Embiid or like Giannis who are kind of taking the spotlight away, especially in terms of the media. But
They just don't like him. He's just not, like...
I want to say he's not flashy, but he is.
I don't know, but, like, he's not like Giannis, where he's going to go get Chick-fil-A after winning the chip and stream it on Instagram Live.
Off the court, like, he's not
He's just such
a prolific character.
His brothers, though, make him that was so funny.
I'm kind of surprised we ever heard more about them. But on the season, he's averaging about 26 points per game, 14 rebounds, which is insanely high.
Yeah.
And 8 assists on 57% from the field, which is also ridiculous considering how much he shoots. And 36% from 3. I mean, 8 turnovers to 3 assists is pretty insane for any player, let alone a center. I mean, there's not many doubts in my mind that he's the greatest playmaking big man of all time, let alone in the league right now. There's not, I mean, I don't even know if there's really many guys to debate because a playmaking big man is not many we've seen. The closest we've had is like arguably Wilt Chamberlain, but even then that's a completely different era. I mean, then you've had like Arvydas Sabonis, who was a very good playmaker but didn't play in the NBA very long. I don't know. Obviously he's undoubtedly, but it's also just...
He might win another MVP. I know, like, on the NBA's race, like, MVP ladder, like, he's been number 1 for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, I haven't been paying much attention to that. I'm sure he is, but I gotta look more into that. But, I mean, we'll get into the MVP voting a bit, but...
It's really flawed. It is in every sport. It is in every
Absolutely.
sport, though, and the NFL proved that this year.
Yeah. But, yeah. Oh, right, this, Aaron Gordon has been one of my favorite players in the league since he was drafted because I've always been a fan of him, but even before the dunk contests. He has been such a key piece for this team, whether it's his offense, which isn't anything insane. He puts up like 15 a game on 50% from the field. But what it really is a defense. His defense is something I have never expected out of him. He's always been a very solid offensive player with potential on defense because he has the length and height, kind of like how I said Tatum has the height and length. But to watch him actually use the defense that he has and blossom into a player who's more predicated on his defense and his offense is something I've never expected. And to see how he'll play when both Murray and MPJ come back, which apparently might be soon because I guess MPJ is sent to the G League for scrimmages, and they're saying Jamal Murray should be ready by the playoffs, which is insane to think about. But yeah, this team, if
They just got to get in. Just got to get in.
If Jamal and Michael both play well when they come back, we could see them do some pretty.
And remember how
good
well
things in the
Jamal
playoffs.
played in the playoffs.
That's what
too.
I'm saying. Let alone if I'm saying like play well, like let alone if he plays how we did last time in the playoffs.
Remember that layup on LeBron?
Yeah, that was pretty nasty. But with that, we'll move on to the Bucks and Suns.
Try again.
Final rematch from, was that last night? I believe it was from last night. Yep, in which the Bucks ended up winning the game 132 to 122, but it's not all that surprising as I mentioned before. There was no CP3, who's been dealing with, I can't remember the exact injury, but he's out for a good amount of time, and Devin Booker, who's been in health and safety protocols. But it was nice to see DeAndre Ayton drop 30 because if you look at his stats, you think he's not really anything special. But when in reality, watching him play, you can see the talent he has. Mm-hmm. It's just he's been playing third and at times fourth fiddle, depending on how Bridges plays. So it's very hard for him to get extended touches, especially down low, because they kind of need him to space the floor. But yeah, in terms of his value to the team, I'm very excited to see how he'll blossom and how he'll play the next couple of years, because he could really turn into something special depending on just how he progresses and how the team really kind of utilizes him. So again, we'll see how he does.
He's not a bust though.
No, definitely.
I despise when people say that.
He's by no means a bust, but he definitely is not the top player in the league that everyone thought he would be. He could turn into that. There's still time.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's just not very ball down. Just hasn't been.
Because he has the team around him to the point where he's
such a good team around him.
And then there's Middleton, dropped 44 in this game. He looked very solid. Giannis didn't have the most insane game. I think Drew Holiday dropped like 20-something. But to see these flashes of Middleton is very nice because he has been questionable at times this season. He's been playing better as of late. But he really needs to step it up for the playoffs.
Yeah, he's getting hot when they need him to get hot. I like it.
Obviously, Middleton had a lot of good moments in the finals, but he's been very questionable at several moments throughout the playoffs his entire career, so hopefully he can finally snap out of it and play good for an entire playoff run. We'll see, though. In other news, the Lakers suck. They do.
They're
Obviously,
terrible.
their win against the Warriors was very impressive. Again,
No. LeBron's performance
yeah.
against the Warriors was
I
very
completely
impressive.
missed out my whole segment on the Warriors, so I'll get onto that after this. But LeBron dropped 56, and it took him dropping 56 for him to come back and beat the
And
Warriors.
just barely come back, too.
Yeah, they won by like 6, I think.
Yeah.
Westbrook still isn't playing well. I don't. His stats weren't like
Westbrook-like.
terrible, but they definitely weren't good. Like he had like 5 assists to 4 turnovers, put up like 17 points, which is bad, but it's not as bad as he has been, which is pretty insane to think about. It's just the fact that he's
Whoa!
been... What?
Calvin Ridley got suspended for the entire season for betting on games.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry to interrupt you, but whoa! We're just
No, yeah, wow. Dude, that's actually really bad. Is that... The activity took place during a 5-day period in late November while Ridley was not with the team. I don't like that. I get you should never bet on a game if you are an athlete, but if you are not playing in the game, you are not involved in the game, let alone involved with the team, and you are away from the sport entirely, it gets different.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it so I can read up on the whole thing and read both sides, but wow, that's big. Is the NFL suspension or the Falcons suspension?
NFL.
I would figure. Receivers, man, not doing well right now because the
No.
Amari Cooper thing, too.
Do you see that the Cowboys might cut DeMarcus Lawrence?
That doesn't surprise me.
No, not at all.
I think they're, I don't want to say rebuilding. I think they're reloading.
Retooling, yeah.
Exactly. They're doing, like, I agree with what, is it Dan or, how do you pronounce
Dan
it?
Orlovsky.
I agree with what he said today. Amari Cooper's a great receiver, but the Cowboys are probably better off without him.
Yeah, because you just need him when you have CeeDee Lamb, Cedric Wilson, who kind of had a good season, Michael Gallup,
and they want to keep him. Apparently, is the word.
It just depends on how much you want.
And then, but he brought up a good point too about how important Dalton Schultz is to their offense.
Yes, he was very good. I was very happy
So
to
like
see him.
I think they want CD to transition,
take over, the
and
number
he
one
he
role.
should be because man, did he have a good year.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I liked him since college.
All right, sorry. There's our random NFL tangent. People listening.
Wow.
That's a really weird one. So we'll on Wednesday. Let's read up more on that and
For
give more
sure,
opinion.
sure.
I don't want to talk about because sports betting is really weird, and especially since it's becoming legalized, it's becoming way more common, which I'm totally okay with, by the way. But I just
a lot of people are
up in arms about that one.
yeah. No one's happy about this right now. Wow. But anyways. We were talking about the Lakers. Yes, the Lakers, they are currently the 9 seed out west, 3-7 in their last 10 games. Westbrook has been terrible. LeBron's been LeBron, obviously. But, like, they've just been blown out. They've been blown out. They've blown leads. I just don't know what the team can do at this point. They need AD to be healthy, but he's not. They need Russell to play well, but he's not. Apparently, everyone wants Westbrook to be benched besides Frank Vogel. Now they're saying that there's no chance Westbrook comes back next season.
Good.
No, obviously that's good, but
The Lakers management should be. If I was the owner, I would take that general manager and blast him into another planet after this season.
Pelinka has not done a very good job.
He is to blame.
Absolutely.
Well, I sent you that Charles Barkley thing. You remember that?
Yes.
That's the most correct. That describes Lakers season so perfectly. When he said that, I don't know if I've said it on the show before, but it's so well worded that their managers should not be hiding right now and putting the blame on the coaching and Westbrook when they put that trash out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Such a good way to put it.
But with that, the Warriors...
Wait. Okay, keep going, sorry.
No, what were you going to say?
We got to talk about the 76ers Heat game.
What happened in that game?
The
Did I
Heat
miss
won.
something?
The Heat won. I just want to touch on it.
I haven't been... I've been so into the...
Combine.
What a low-scoring game.
Yeah, weird.
99.
I want to tell you about it.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been so into scouting. But quickly, let me talk about the Warriors really quick, because it's not going to take much. The Warriors have been very bad since Draymond left. Draymond's been injured. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games, which is pretty insane to think about. No one's playing well. I mean, Curry's had a couple good moments, but it's
he
Curry.
got 30 last
But
night.
even then, he has not been nearly the same without Draymond. It just shows how valuable he is. A lot of people go, oh, 7, 7, and 7. He's not valuable. Like, just watch the games. You don't even have to watch games. Look at their defense when he's on versus when he's off. Look at how they play when he's there versus when he's not.
Look at their offensive plays. I know we talk about it so much, but their pick and roll is like disgusting once Draymond's on there.
It shows how valuable of a player he is, and that's why he made an All-Star game. That's why he's probably going to continue making All-Star games if he continues to play like this. But yeah, that's all I have on the Warriors.
The poor I do kind of feel bad for the Warriors right now. You don't?
As much as I do like the Warriors, obviously I'm a Draymond fan, but when you win 3 rings,
no, I'm not saying. I said right now. I just feel like they just kind of they got unlucky. Like Clay comes back, Draymond gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? They can't. They feel like they've had a lot of Curry's had a lot of weight put on his shoulders, and he has not responded in the second half of the year. I'll tell you that.
All right, so what do you got about the Sixers and Heat game?
I just think that was a game that obviously flew under the radar because you forgot about it. No offense.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Butler had a really good night. I think he dropped over 20. Jimmy Butler, another player that's been phenomenal this season.
He's had a couple of bad games in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed, but outside of those games, he had
another over 20-point game.
Even if he's not scoring, he's so good at a lot of other things to the point where he can rely on Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, Bam to score and make up for what he lacks at times.
I'm saying it right now, the most underrated move of the entire offseason was Kyle Lowry to the Heat. I love the move when it happened, and I still love it.
He hasn't been as good as people thought, but he's been glue. He's been the glue for the team. He's still been solid.
They're such a weird team because they're not like the Nuggets where it's Jokic ball dominant. Like even Butler isn't ball dominant. Like they're really weird. Like I guess like
it's a good combination of on and off ball players.
It's like a really strange. Like if you watch them play, it's like really weird is such a good way to put it. Like it's just non-traditional. Like no one's ball dominant. Everyone gets shots, and that's why isn't Hero still favored for 6th man of the year?
I have no idea. I haven't paid much attention. I've looked at like the deep boy and the MVP every now and then, but I've not paid attention to.
I think he's still in the contention for it.
Oh, I didn't even see that Harden didn't play.
Yeah, but that's the other thing I want to talk about.
This is why Embiid annoys me sometimes. So Embiid shot 4 of 15 from the field, but 14 of 14 from the line. And got
how many points?
22.
Of course. How do you shoot 4 of 15 and have 22 points?
Oh, when you go to the line 14 times in a game, that's unbearable to look at. That actually kind of aggravating. That is actually painful. Also,
I think that's why no one's talking about that game, because it was probably the unsexiest basketball game of all time.
Also, shout out Duncan Robinson for being terrible. I can't believe how bad he's been.
He's horrible.
There has been a lot of shooters who have struggled this season, but he literally went from one of the best shooters in the league to a borderline useless.
Yeah, remember when he drilled that shot in the finals against LeBron to go up and late in that game? Now he's terrible. Yep. Yeah, so it's the new ball.
I understand it, but it comes to a point
where
him
and Dame are the ones that
you do have to adjust because if it's something at the beginning of the season, like a lot of players like R.J. Barrett, like Paul George did say that they struggled with, it comes to a point where you have to adjust. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you have to adjust to it, and if you can't, then that's a bit of a problem on you. But at the same time, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think the two that come to my mind are Dame and Rob.
Dame and Duncan Robinson.
The trail. We could talk about the Trailblazers. They are terrible.
Yeah, no Dame, no CJ, no Nurkic.
They're terrible.
There's nothing they can do there. I don't even know if they have a pick this season, but obviously they're just tanking it out, hoping that they can land a pick to help Dame. But even then, I think they're one seed out of the play-in.
Good for them, though.
Yeah, they are 2 games out of the play-in right now.
I don't even know who's on that team.
Anthony Simons, who's been ridiculously good. Josh Hart, who's played solid. Mm. I would say Nasir Little, who's had a good season, but he is out for the rest of the season. Besides that, I don't even know. But they haven't been winning. It's just they kind of were in the play-in before, and now they're just barely hanging on because they win 1 or 2 games every now and then. But
Gotcha.
To close it, we have 3 more things to talk about. Hopefully we can hit them all. The Mavericks right now are the 5 seed, which isn't the most surprising, but I think what has been surprising is how good Spencer Dinwiddie has since he joined the Mavericks. I'm not entirely sure how many games he's played. He's averaged 17 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists on 50% from the field and 40% from 3, compared to, on the Wizards, 12 points per game, 12 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists on 37% from the field and 31% from three, which is obviously very terrible. But it's just, I was not happy with this trade because obviously I'm not a big fan of Kristaps Porzingis, but at the time he's better than Dinwiddie. He was a better fit for the team. But right now, that's obviously not the case because Dinwiddie has been balling out. Porzingis, I don't even think he's played yet, and if he did, I think his first game was yesterday. But last night he dropped 36 on the Kings and helped them come back to beat the Kings after a Dorian Finney-Smith dagger, which is a pretty nasty statement to say. As good as Dorian Finney-Smith has been this season, he's a very good role player. I haven't paid much attention to the Mavericks that much. Obviously, my roommate is a Mavericks fan, so I know a good bit about them, obviously, but I don't know what Dorian Finney-Smith personally been doing this season, so I can't tell you if he was worth the contract extension that he got this season. But with that, speaking of the Kings, they are terrible. Even after the Sabonis trade, they're the 13th seed right now. They've won 4 of their last 10. And it makes the Sabonis trade look even worse because not only do you trade away your I don't want to say future because De'Aaron Fox has been averaging like 30 points a game since the Halliburton trade, but you trade away arguably at the time your best young player, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson, who is Tristan Thompson. He's not even on the Pacers anymore. They cut him. But when you trade away your young asset and one of the best shooters in the NBA for a player of, you could argue of how impactful Sabonis really is. Yeah, he'll give you some pretty crazy numbers, but how impactful are those numbers? And yeah, to see them kind of suck still is not the most surprising. I mean, I don't understand why you make that kind of trade. I don't get it. I don't get what they're doing. I really don't. I mean, it's a King, so I can't.
Yeah,
I can't be surprised.
No surprises there.
One of, if not the worst ran organizations in the entire NBA. They've had 16 losing seasons in a row, which is an NBA record. I just don't get it. I don't get it anymore. I don't know what they can do.
I would say free Buddy Hield, but they already did. So.
Yeah, they already did. They finally got him out of there, but they put him in Indiana, which I think I'd rather be in Sacramento than Indiana.
Yeah, at least it's warm.
For both the area and the team.
Yeah, at least it's warm in Sacramento.
Yeah, and there's probably more things to do than in Indiana.
Yeah, at least you can throw some. Actually, Sacramento's pretty cold because it's in north. It's really north in California.
I don't know where Sacramento is, man. It's Sacramento.
I'm just going to look up their outlook. All right. Hit the Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies are the 3 seed now and half a game behind the Warriors. They were the 2 seed at one point, but they lost and fell back. I don't think in any essence John Morant should win the MVP because right now you have Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Jokic who are the clear top three for that right now. But he should definitely get a good amount of votes. You could argue 4th, you could argue 5th. He should, without a doubt, be up there. The way of which he's broken out this season is not something I could say I predicted. I thought he'd be very good, but I don't know if I can say I expected them to be a 3 seed. I expected John Morant to be an MVP candidate. I don't want to say I don't think many people expected that because I'm sure Grizzlies fan knew that this was coming, but I definitely didn't.
I've been a big John Morant guy. I could see John Morant becoming an MVP candidate, but I thought he was going to be on a trash team.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and to see them now be...
Sacramento's weather is really good, by the way. Between lows are 41 and the highs are 94. So
that's beautiful weather.
Good for Buddy Hield.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean the 3 seed. I like their roster a lot. I like a lot of the players on. Obviously, John Morant. I was a big fan of Desmond Bane in college. I'm a Michigan State fan, so obviously I have connections to Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson, 2 players I am a huge fan of, especially Jaren Jackson, who is leading the league in blocks, even though he missed a good amount of games at the beginning of the season, which just shows how good of a defensive player he is. His offense hasn't been there at times. It hasn't necessarily been terrible, but it hasn't been great. Mm-hmm. But to see him come back and be very impactful after missing a while due to injuries is something that makes me very happy. And then you have other guys like Kyle Anderson, who isn't as good as he was last year, but he's still a very solid player. Tyus Jones, who I doubt he's going to listen to this, but my buddy Rudy, who is an editor for I don't know if you've ever watched Rusty Buckets. He's a great NBA YouTuber. I talk to Rudy every now and then. He always brings up how Tyus Jones has led the league in assist-to-turnover ratio, even though it's kind of a meaningless stat. It's not really a meaningless stat, but for the minutes that Tyus Jones plays, it's not like the craziest stat. I just find it funny. That's something I remembered. Then you just have other guys like Steven Adams, who I did not like the Valanciunas trade that they made at all, like in the slightest. But he hasn't been too terrible for them, and it's nice to see this team succeed because again, like I said, I have a lot of ties to these players. I like these guys a lot. I like this team. They're a very good young team, and the best part is they're the 3 seed right now. While I think they have the second lowest payroll in the entire NBA. So if they wanted to sign a free agent, I don't know who.
Yeah, they'll probably max
no
out.
offense, but I don't know who would want to go to Memphis. But,
Well, I mean, I don't want to go there now. They're good.
Yeah, no, obviously things could change with success, but we'll see. I mean, I'm very excited about this team's future. Without a doubt.
They're going to have to max out Ja, and
Then Desmond Bane's going to need a big contract.
Yeah.
And then...
Low cap's a deceiving...
Yeah, look at the Knicks. We went from having the best cap situation in the NBA to now we have Evan Fournier.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Julius.
And Julius Randle.
All right. Before we go, I want to pull up this tweet I saw. It was a comparison between Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis. And these are the basic stats. Points per game. Who do you think leads?
Giannis.
Embiid.
Really?
Rebounds per game.
Jokic.
Yep. Assists per game.
Jokic.
Shots per game.
Jokic.
Yep. Blocks per game.
Jokic.
No, Giannis. Field goal percentage.
Jokic.
Yep. 2-point percentage.
2-point Giannis.
Jokic.
Really?
3-point percentage.
Jokic.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
3 points made.
Jokic.
Yep. The only thing Embiid leads in, or the other only thing, is free throw percentage.
I'm kind of, that's not surprising.
No.
But I don't know, kind of don't know why I said Jokic would lead in blocks is kind of something I thought I'd be surprised by because I have heard that he's been a lot better defensively this season. But to see that it was Giannis and not Embiid is what really surprised me.
I don't know these advanced stats, but if you want to try to read them off, you can. They're if you swipe to the left a little bit because I zoomed it on the picture, you can see it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's PER, win share, offensive win share, defense. That's very surprising that Jokic leads in defensive win share. Win share is per 48.
What's win share?
If I could describe it to you, I would. I don't know, man. I know it's a very polarizing stat. I'm sorry, but if you bring up Raptor in an NBA debate, I'm going to laugh at you and walk
What
away.
is Raptor?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm all for the usage of advanced stats. I love them sometimes. I hate them sometimes. But if you bring up Raptor, I'm going to laugh at you and walk away. I'm sorry. I cannot take that kind of stat seriously. I think I have a somewhat good idea of win shares, but I'm just I like to enjoy watching basketball. I don't really care about analytics type of guy that.
What is a stat?
What's Raptor?
Raptor stands for robust algorithm using player tracking on and off ratings. The stat is number of points a player contributes to team offense and team defense per 100 possessions.
Okay, so it sounds like a very advanced on-off, which, okay. But, I mean, I'm a very, I don't want to sound like Ball Don't Stop, who's a very prominent figure on NBA Twitter for all the wrong reasons. But I enjoy watching basketball way more than I do sitting down on a laptop looking at analytics. That's just the way I am. I'm not like stop, tween, hezzy, splash, Ball Don't Stop guy. But
yeah.
If you bring up Raptor in a real-life NBA debate, I'm laughing at you.
Yeah, that's a mean one. So
that's the way we close the show today.
That's a great way to close the show. I need to get more in these advanced stats because if your stat is named Raptor, that's hilarious.
It's a terrible way to go. I've seen so many annoying people on NBA Twitter when it comes to advanced stats to the point where I can't even take them seriously anymore.
The baseball is running into that problem too, but that's a conversation for another time. So that is all for your Monday 3 o'clock sports report with Desmond and Liam. Tune in to our Twitter, Spotify,
and YouTube. These will both be up Wednesday at noon.
Yep.
And hopefully we won't miss any more episodes.
Yep. So we will most likely tune in Wednesday. Your throat sounds better. If there's an issue, check our Twitter.
I feel a lot better.
We'll keep you guys
updated. We usually give updates on if we're having a show or not on there.
Yeah. So tune in there. We'd appreciate any support. But thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry for the delay at the beginning.
Yep.
We hope you have a blessed evening, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Have a
good one.
night.